I'll be, just for all your interest, if you ever want to, there must be 200 of these videos on YouTube and Facebook that people have recorded for my talks after the meditation. You could always go there as a reference. And I get a lot of people get in touch with me because they've seen those videos. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Kundalini is a really powerful force of energy that exists inside a human being. And the activation of Kundalini is the pathway to enlightenment. It enables energy to move from the base of the spine to the top of the head and eventually to open the crown chakra. And the soul of a human being can connect with the soul of the universe. It's the ultimate goal of our practice is to develop a spiritual life. And a spiritual life is not going to be developed in a human being if Kundalini isn't activated. But to activate Kundalini, is more than just, bringing some energy to the base of the spine. It really has to do with the development of an entire chakra system, because Kundalini is a powerful force. And if we're not grounded inside ourselves, if we're not focused in the very, foundation of our being and building that chakra, if Kundalini is activated by itself, it could burn a person up. It could totally, chew up our entire, it's so strong, it can chew up our entire system. So the work that I teach is not just about activating Kundalini. It's about building a whole person. It's about getting centered in the chakra below the navel, getting the heart open through gratitude, the throat open, quieting the mind, energy, learning how to, energy to flow through the sexual area, which transforms all of the human to the spiritual. So the activation of Kundalini is really the activation of our total person, of our entire being. And that comes about through practice, through inner work, through time and patience and the developing of a chakra system that is strong enough to do all this, which gives us the capacity to live in the world, in this kind of crazy world we live in, and to be free of it at exactly the same time. All of this works together. We're born on the earth, we have karma to work out, we have family, we have friends, we have jobs, we have all kinds of situations that arise in one's lifetime. All of this is an opportunity to grow. But all of this depends upon, how deeply we work inside ourselves to build a system that is strong enough to deal with three things. The first one is our connection with spirit. If we don't have an inner life that's really strong, when this energy, Shakti, whatever you want to call it, it flows into, it's also a very powerful energy. And if we're not grounded, if we're not really building foundation inside ourselves, that energy can also burn us up. The energy of life is another aspect of this, which we all know is a really powerful energy. In order to deal with life, in order to interact with the world, in a kind and a conscious and a compassionate way, in a loving way, we really need to be strong inside. And the third element is Kundalini. So these three elements are essential for not only a spiritual life, but for learning how to function here like a human being. And if we don't develop a chakra system, any one of those three elements can truly burn us alive, because they're all of them really powerful. I mean, when you receive spirit, you're receiving energy that is infinite in the universe. is beyond all human comprehension. And if we try to fit it into our brain, it's just going to drive us crazy. It's too strong. So we need to be grounded and develop the chakra below the navel, the very core of our being, to have the strength to draw upon what's infinite in the universe, to have the strength to be able to live in life in a conscious way, in a loving way, with compassion and with joy. And the third element, to activate Kundalini, because Kundalini is truly the pathway to enlightenment. That is the work of a human being. You understand? We're given all of the tools, and whether or not people use them to develop a chakra system, that's another story. But we have all the tools, and we're born with them. Mind, breath, will, need, a hunger to grow spiritually. All of this exists inside a human being. The desire to be happy, and it gets back to a simple reality. Do we do the inner work? I mean, the universe depends upon us to do that. It's up there dying to give us endless amounts of Shakti and wisdom and knowledge, and we just block the flow of that river because we don't develop a system inside that is strong enough to receive it. And it's basically it really is the foundation of everything that I teach, everything that I learned from my spiritual teacher. It's the ultimate foundation of all this stuff, because it's the only thing that really is almost common sensual. You've got to have a foundation to build a house. A tree has roots, nature has roots and foundation. Only human beings spend all their time drifting in the mind, the emotions, neurosis, anxiety, all of this stuff, because they don't have that rootedness in themselves to be able to connect with spirit, to be able to live their life, and to find the pathway out of life, the Kundalini, freedom. And honestly, this meditation is really all about that. Learning to be human so that we can, learn how to get free of our humanity and become one with God, spirit, higher energy, whatever you want to call it. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
How do you know if your Kundalini is activated?
How do you know?
If your Kundalini, if it's activated, or if it's like moving, or how's that?
And when your Kundalini is open and rising, you won't ask that question. It becomes living experience. You will feel it inside. You will feel fire inside you at the base of your spine. You will feel it. You will feel the tensions in you burning up, dissolving. You will feel the blocks inside you breaking down. That's how you know. It's not like I can diagram this on a blackboard and say, at this point you will. It doesn't work that way. It works when you are ready and you have built a system inside yourself that can activate Kundalini in a healthy way. You will know. No problem. Your eyes will light up. There'll be a twinkle there that'll connect you directly with spirit. I mean this. It's not something that I can give you a degree. At this point, you will know. You will know when you build the inner life that allows this thing to happen. And that's important because then it becomes living experience. It's not some garbage that you have in your brain about Kundalini, it's living experience. And I think that is the path to enlightenment, living experience, not intellectual accumulation that just congests your brain and gives you certain kind of smarts that honestly take you nowhere. But a living experience. Every great teacher, every great master of yoga, it is through living experience that they attain this. That's how you know. That's exactly how you know. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Look, I am not a theologian. I'm not a person who is an academic that will interpret God and give you all of these, I don't do that. I try to help people, develop a chakra system that enables them to truly open and embrace God's spirit. And they become a child of God. Their whole living experience is one with that energy that flows through them, that guides their life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And just to, finish this, it's inside every single human being. We have the tools, we have chakra systems, we need training. We need to learn how to do this. And it's probably the single most difficult thing to learn on the earth, only because we're only up against one person, and that's ourselves. It's the only person that keeps us from learning this. We have to learn to master ourselves, transform all that chaos and thinking and emotions, into energy that's chi, that's balance, that's love, that's an open heart. Understand transformative energy that takes place in the sexual area, tantra. I mean, all of this is part of developing an inner life that will activate Kundalini and give us a really profound connection with higher energy in the universe. Does anyone else have a question? It takes time. You have to have patience and time. And I mean, look, I've been doing this, 40, 50 years, forever, And, I didn't know about this when I first started doing it. It took so many years of developing an inner life that made it me capable of truly opening in this kind of depth and even talking about it in this kind of depth. And having a very great master who I was willing to listen to and get the training, that was so necessary to transform Stuart, street kid from the Bronx, sitting here and talking about these things today, doing these things, teaching these kind of classes. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be another class on Tuesday. And again, I just can't tell you I'm grateful that all of you come to these classes and that we get the opportunity to do this work where there are people from every part of the universe here, And I'm just very grateful to be able to share whatever I've learned with all of you. And I'm grateful that you're here because it makes me work on myself. And I still recognize how much growth I need to do. And all of you are a part of that growth. And I'm just very grateful for it. So God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone, this Tuesday when we have another class. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Good night. Ciao. Bye.